Hi, folks. This is Kenneth Price. I'm in my car again. I have got to make a third video today. And the third video is going to be even more controversial than my other videos. They just keep getting more and more and more controversial. You know why they're becoming more controversial? Because I'm in less fear. These videos are not coming from fear, folks. They're coming from love. You know, most of my life, I've been frightened and I've been trying to play safe. And, you know, I'm not going to tell anybody what to do and what not to do. But I will come out and be honest with this video, folks. You know what generated my mental illness? It's trying to play safe. Now, I'm not telling people to be reckless, and I'm not telling people to be stupid, but I'm telling people to be honest. I belong to a spiritual community, folks. I belong to the Living Miracles community. It's David Hoffmeister, and they operate from the Course in Miracles. And David Hoffmeister has a very unique and avant-garde community. He's only got two rules. Number one is no people-pleasing, and number two is no private thoughts. What David Hoffmeister invites us to do, folks, is he invites us basically in a nutshell to get honest. Because when we're trying to be spiritual by putting pink paint, and I've said this in more than one video, by putting pink paint and unicorns and rainbows on top of our shadow, we become religious. Let's come out and say it. In a nutshell, we don't heal, and we go loop-de-loop-de-loop, and that's my definition of mental illness. So, I am your psychiatric shaman, Kenneth Price. This is the third video on a Tuesday afternoon, and I'm going to make this video on bipolar. That's the topic of this video. Now, if you watched my other videos, you know that I've given myself the title psychiatric shaman, because there's no such thing as a psychiatric shaman. No one's ever been a psychiatric shaman before. I made them up. And you know why? Because I was once upon a time diagnosed with a mental illness, and more than one mental illnesses, and I did have mental illnesses because I was keeping private thoughts and because I was people-pleasing. But the answer was not medication. And I spent 25 years on medication, psych meds, benzodiazepines, which led to drugs and alcohol. And I became mentally ill because they were trying to fix something that wasn't wrong in the first place. So I created this dream character called the psychiatric shaman because I have discovered that once I chose to get off all my medications, hardest decision in my entire life, by the way, hardest, and one of the least supported. Didn't have support for this. I did have support for that, but we'll go into later. And I went through the withdrawals. Hardest thing in my life to go through those withdrawals. Upon my emergence, slowly, I started discovering, and this is why I've come back, folks. I've come back so you all, if you've chosen this courageous decision, then I want to support you. So I am your psychiatric shaman from this point forward, and the title of this video is going to be Bipolar. Why? Because that is what put me on those medications in the first place when I was a young man in the late 80s. They said I had this young man has bipolar, and he's got to be on pills. He's got to be on pills. You know, I'm 54 years old. I'm going to be 55 in April. And if I had known then what I had known now, there would not have been this entire psychiatric parable. However, it's because I wrote that psychiatric parable that I get to come back and I get to be a way shower. So nothing has ever gone wrong. But let me explain to you about bipolar. It's the birth of a healer, folks. It's not a mental illness. In the United States, it's a mental illness. In other countries, it's the birth of a healer. It's a spiritual emergency. I've got to be very clear on this, and I've also got to be careful with this. Because remember, I don't come back and tell people, get off all of your meds right now. Be careful. My emergence took a lot of work. And as you can see, this is video number 57, and I'm still not done. I've got a lot more videos to go because I've got to document how I emerged from that. But the reason I'm stopping to make this video, and obviously I'm stopping, look, I'm in my car. I got to close this. I'm in my car. I'm on the way back from McMinnville, going back to Portland, Oregon, as I had another insight. Now remember, folks, according to the DSM, I am bipolar, according to the DSM. Now, That's not a problem for me anymore. It's not a mental illness for me anymore. I've become a surfer, folks. I'm living proof that the bipolar doesn't need to be medicated in this man's story anymore. I've learned how to surf, and I've learned how to celebrate. And I'm coming back, not sharing with you that you need to learn to surf or you need to learn to celebrate. I'm coming back to share with you how I celebrate and how I surf this wonderful gift that once upon a time was labeled as a mental illness. And I'll tell you why. I've always had a very active brain. I've always had intuitive thoughts. I've always thought outside the box, and I've always had creative ideas. Do you know what the public school system did to me? You know what my religions did to me? And no disrespect to my mother. No disrespect. I would never disrespect my late mother. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah. I'm making this video because I know there's people out there who can hear this. I wasn't the only one who was told to stop. Anybody ever a Catholic a nun with a ruler hit you over the head, tell you to stop being fabulous? Truly, folks, one of the gifts that I got from my teacher, David Hoffmeister, was no private thoughts. These are nothing to be ashamed of, folks. A lot of us have some very deep, and especially if you've been on psych meds like I was for 25 years and you're coming off them, you've got some very deep and frightening private thoughts. But I'm going to take you in the opposite direction. I'm not going to tell you to beat them down, and I'm not going to tell you to shame yourself, and I'm not going to say you shouldn't be having them. I'm going to say to you something completely different, that I had them too. And I'm going to go even further than that. I'm going to tell you that sometimes I still do have them. How about that? You know, when I say surfer, I'm not kidding. There are highs and there are lows. Now, the reason I keep using the word courage and the reason I keep using faith is because it takes faith and courage to ride these waves. It does for me. This is the reason I'm creating this whole YouTube channel. This is the reason I've created a dream character called the Psychiatric Shaman. This is the reason I take outreach calls, and this is the reason I do Zoom meetings, is because I emerged from that and I found my fabulous. You know, folks, my fabulous frightens a lot of people. And you know what? That takes more courage too. To say, back in the early days of gay pride, late 80s, early 90s, it went basically like this: we're here, we're queer, get used to it. The only problem is we're here, we're bipolar, and get used to it. Doesn't rhyme, but you can do that if it works for you. Again, remember, I'm not telling people to go off their meds. I'm sharing with others that this man was on meds for 25 years, and the meds made him sick. His decision to get off the meds was difficult and painful, and I want to avoid others the same story so they don't have to write that parable. Basically, in a nutshell, learn from my mistakes. Of course, they weren't mistakes, but a lot of people may not make it, and I want to say that need not be. Okay. Oh, that was a windbag. that was an awfully windbag video. Counters looks like it's coming on 9 minutes. All right. Truly, folks, I did emerge. You saw from my last video, I walked across the bridge to the other side, and still, once I was done with the psych meds, it took an extra shove from a shaman who was not afraid to break the law by giving me ayahuasca. Yeah, I'm not telling anyone to do ayahuasca either, because those were rough ceremonies. The rougher the better, though. I didn't go crazy. I went sane. I let out the fabulous. All right, so the counter's coming up on 10 minutes. Leave your comments below. All my videos, I need to hear back from you. Number 2, I don't leave anyone hanging. I leave my Facebook profile down below and reach out to me. Do not be afraid to reach out to me. I generally don't do ongoing support. I'm not a therapist, and that's my other disclaimer. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm actually technically not a minister. And obviously, I'm not a doctor or a psychologist. Heard all my other videos, no credentials, qualifications. I've been doing badass spiritual work, my entire life. And the last 5 years, it got dead serious. Mix that in with a lot of plant medicine, and I got it, folks. I got the actual pole shift. We're living in an upside down matrix, folks. That's good news for you. That's good news for you. It's bad news for the people who think that they're doing well. It's good news for you because you think you're mentally ill. But remember Krishnamurti. To be well adjusted to an insane society is no sign of mental health. Remember, folks, all the way showers that truly made a difference on this planet were either considered mentally ill. I know one specific way shower who was crucified 2,000 years ago. Let's get the show on the road. Let's stop playing safe. A lot of these laws that are enacted to keep us suppressed were the same laws, funded by the same organizations that wrote the DSM, that gave the psychiatrist all those green lights to hand out all those pills, which made us all sick. Let's start getting better here, folks. A windbag. This one's going to go on 12, maybe 13 minutes. The last is down below. A link to the Zoom call that I host every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And soon there's going to be a mid-weekly Zoom call. Let's do this in community, folks. This is hard work. I'm still doing my work every single day. Don't think we wake up from this and sit around and go to Puerto Vallarta and drink margaritas on the beach. No, we wake up from this and we become we work our buns off. All right, we're coming on about 13 minutes on a Tuesday afternoon. This is Kenneth Price, your psychiatric shaman, in his car on his way from McMinnville to Portland, Oregon. I'm going to give everyone a permission slip to be fabulous, because you're not bipolar. According to the allopathic model, yes. According to the caterpillars, yes. But remember my slogan: we're in the cocoon, and we're going through our pharmacologically induced dark night of the soul towards butterfly. Where bipolar is fabulous. That's all I'm going to say before they arrest me. They could arrest me for having been pulled over the side of the road, but when they find out what I posted on YouTube, they're gonna be a lot of targets on my back. But you know what? I can save people's lives by giving them my story. My story has the potential of saving people's lives. And you know what? I'm glad I wrote that story, because now I get to be a lighthouse in a way shore for others. Forget about trying to find nonsensical corporate jobs. Forget about trying to play safe insurance policies. Yada, yada, yada. Boring, small, boring. In the words of my Auntie Mame, Rosalind Russell, 1958, life is a banquet, and most poor sons of bitches are starving to death. So live! Last thing, slogan of the psychiatric shaman. You've not been damaged, because the truth of you is impenetrable. It's immortal, and it's love. The truth of you is love. Can't be damaged. Can only be covered up by fear. My only role to come back is to pop the fear bubbles so you can go back to love and remember who you are. I love you all. Kenneth Price. All right, I want to hear from you. God bless. Bye.